Hello, everyone. This is Manolo Concepcion. I am the new associate head coach at Eastern Illinois University. When this crisis began, I wanted to create an educational tool for everyone around the world and the volleyball community that we could learn from experiences and backgrounds from the guests that we could get. So far, we have had over 100 people come in and talk about their own experiences, and hopefully it has been a great educational journey for everyone. Today, I am honored and privileged to be joined by a three-time Olympian. This is Holly McPeak. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule. How is everything going for you throughout these hard times?
Yeah, it's been interesting. A lot of great family time. We were quarantined pretty strictly for a long time, but now the beach is open in front of our house and starting to get back to work, which is nice. My son's out of school, which is nice, trying to get, figure out things for him to do. He's 9. So it's just, it's kind of the new normal right now. It's been, 14 weeks. So just getting used to it.
Holly, how many years do you play at the professional level before actually we get into the NCAA part?
How many years did I play before I went?
How many years do you play at the pro level?
20.
20.
Yeah.
From those 20 years, what were some of your biggest experiences that you went through?
Gosh, there were so many. Starting from the beginning when, I was just a pro. I was just coming out of college and I was like trying to, make my way and see what I could do. You just never know. But I kind of figured out a good, recipe for success where I was willing to put the hard work in. And I was able to get results. And beach volleyball is one of the sports, you're your own boss. You're hiring your coach. You're figuring out when you're lifting. There was nobody telling me to do anything. But I was super motivated. I had a lot to prove. Nobody thought I could win a tournament. So it was fun. I mean, it's my passion. I love beach volleyball. I grew up in Manhattan Beach, spending every day of the summer on the beach. So it's something I love to do, but at the same time, I was hungry to prove myself.
5'7",
yeah.
Holly, and you play against some of the best people in the world in the golden era of beach volleyball. What was some of the intangibles that you had that allowed you to have so much success?
Well, I mean, determination, grit, and dedication. I mean, I knew what I wanted and I was willing to do what it takes. And I also felt like I was kind of smart about the way I approached it. If I was not, if I didn't get past the quarterfinals or the semifinals or whatever that was, I would stay around and watch. Yeah, I wanted to go home. I was mad, but I'd stay around and watch and like, what are these players doing that I don't do? And what can I do better? So I kind of observed and watched and, it helped me learn what I needed to do better. I see a lot of young players get knocked out of the tournament and they're gone. Boom. They're not watching. They're not learning from the teams that are consistently in the semis or the finals. And I really took that as an opportunity to learn and get better.
In terms of the keys, have they changed throughout time in beach volleyball in terms of the most important skills and most important phases of the game?
No, I mean, in terms of, those, little things like the grit, the determination, being smart about the way you train. No, I don't think so. I mean, I think players are getting bigger, but I don't necessarily think they're more skilled. You're seeing a lot more hand setting these days on the beach, which I really like. And Players are starting at an early age using their hands, so they're very confident using their hands at the highest level. And it's fun to see, but I think for the most part, being a competitive athlete, you have to find a way to win. And you have to use your strengths, but you also have to work on your weaknesses so, they can't attack you. And that helps you get to that, point where you're in a position to win.
1996, going out of the tunnel for your first Olympics. What was going through your mind?
It was overwhelming. I mean, it really was. There were a lot of things going through my mind. What an honor to wear your country on your uniform and be able to compete on a world stage. It was amazing. In our situation, my partner was injured. We hadn't had the time to practice that we wanted. So we were just struggling to get our rhythm back. And my partner, Nancy Reno, had torn her rotator cuff on her attacking shoulder. And she didn't have time to fix it. So she got a shot and, did whatever it took to get to the point where she could kind of play. But it just was never the same, because the year prior, we were the most dominant team in the world. We won 12 international events in a row. We were dominant. Nobody could touch us.
Does the pressure increases when you are in that? What does the pressure increases when you are that dominant the year before?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think confidence is everything. And when you're winning like that, you are so confident. Our thing is we lost our confidence because we weren't able to train and prepare and have that, that rhythm, that success that we had prior because of the injury. So, when you're winning, I don't think you're necessarily feeling the pressure. I mean, every time I stepped on the court, I didn't think, oh, I'm the best, you can't beat me. But I did think, hey, I have something to prove. I don't care if you're my first round match against a qualifier. I was coming out hard. I never looked past anybody. Pressure is a privilege. If you're winning, you're in a position where, there's a target on your back. So you got to play that much better.
Tell me what made the perfect partner for you, and if you want to, what was the best partner that you have had in terms of matching up well with you?
Yeah, I because of my small stature, I like big physical players who could block at the net, who are big hitters and good setters, but who are also quick and could run down, because I'm going to touch a lot of balls defensively. So I need you to be able to move and just touch them and better them, and so I can get it back over the net. I loved the hard work and dedication of one of my favorite partners was Cami Chirelli. And she was one of my favorites, but Elaine Young's, just what a great competitor she was. Super physical, super quick, explosive. And she really matured as an athlete mentally. She was always physically talented, but really went to the next level. And she was one of my very favorites as well. But I played with a lot of great players who I enjoyed. I mean, Nicole Brano was fun to play with. Lisa Arce, who was one of my best friends. We had a lot of fun together. Misty May. I mean, we did the impossible in the year 2000 and qualified for the Sydney Games when she was hurt that season. But, lots of great partners, and you learn from all of them. And sometimes you have to do different things in different roles for each partner. It just depends on the chemistry.
Grew up in Manhattan Beach. Did you grow up playing beach more than anything else, and then you played indoor because you were already out in the beach, or how did it happen? You're an NCAA champion with UCLA.
Yeah, so my parents divorced when I was 4 or 5, and they would go to the beach and play with their friends on the weekend. So we'd pick up a ball. I have a twin brother and a younger sister. We'd rally it around. We just wanted to stay busy when we weren't in the ocean. And we got pretty good. So then we signed up for the little local beach rec class in the summer, and we loved it. And then we started watching the old school Manhattan Beach Open and the Marine Street Open, and it was like, wow, we all fell in love with the sport. So I fell in love with the sport of beach volleyball first, but then 7th, 8th grade is when I started to play, for a club indoor team. And, that I love that too. I mean, it's just different. It's fun being a setter, running the offense. So I really love both of them, but I didn't start playing indoor till 7th grade.
Debuting at the beach volleyball pro level at 18, what sort of things were you looking forward towards? Like, do you have any expectations at that point?
Well, it's interesting because when I was a junior, well, I was 15, 16, 17, all the pros played at Marine Street where I grew up and where I'd hang out every day. And they'd all say, hey, come serve me balls. Hey, do this, do that, set me, I was just kind of their filler for a workout. They didn't train back then like they do now. So I would just help facilitate practices because I loved it and I was capable. So I wasn't intimidated by them. I felt like, okay, I get this, yes, they're the champs, I get it, but I wasn't intimidated. So the other thing was none of my peers played. None of the people my age played. So I had to play against older players. So I didn't sign up for A's or double A's or novices. The level that was appropriate was to try and play in a professional event. So I wasn't thinking of it as, oh, I'm trying to go pro. I was just like, hey, this is the right level. I'm going to go for it. So it's not like I went pro, but I would play a couple of those tournaments every year.
Holly, how does the role of the coach changes from beach and indoor? Take me in a little bit, and including, with training and development, and in terms of motor learning, how is it applied in beach volleyball in comparison to indoor?
As a coach?
Yes. Like what are the biggest differences for a beach volleyball coach, and then an indoor volleyball coach?
Oh gosh, everything. I mean, indoor is very different. I mean, it's that quick touch, that pass forward to the setter to facilitate that fast offense. And do you want to come say hi? My guy, Leonardo.
Hi, Leonardo.
All right, we can play downstairs. Sorry. So it's a different strategy. You're trying to fake out blockers. You've got, 5 other people on the court with you. There's a lot of differences to the game. And indoors, you become more specialized. Hey, you're a middle blocker. You hit quicks and you block and you move from side to side, but you don't do a lot of other stuff usually. And then on the beach, it's so different because you have to be able to perform all the skills. You have to pass, you have to set, you have to hit, be able to hit from left or right. You have to hit high balls. You have to do, whatever it takes. Excuse me. You have to do whatever it takes on the court. So you can't hide. And, there's a lot of players who from the indoor game don't have those skills. So you really have to strengthen those skills, like in terms of transition.
Who was the best coach that you had that allowed you to be, first of all, have so much durability throughout your career, have different peaks in different times of your career, and being able to take you to the next level?
Oh gosh. So on the beach, when I was first starting out, Anna Collier, who was actually the former USC coach, she kind of mentored me and coached me for a while. And the thing I liked about her coaching style, she was tough. We trained really hard and I loved that. And she's like one of those people, she might not be the most technical coach, but she knew how to get the most out of you. She was a great motivator. She really pushed me and I love that. I loved growing up. I learned at an early age that I loved a disciplined, strict volleyball program. I learned that during high school at Maricosta High School. I mean, it was, you're not a minute late for practice. Everyone's on the same page. There's no preferential treatment. Everybody is working towards the same goal. And I knew that was for me. That's the environment that I thrived in. So even when I became a beach volleyball player, that's what I created for myself. I needed that kind of that discipline working towards the goal. And that was important that me, my partner, my coach, that we were all on the same page working, towards victory because that was our goal.
Growing the game, how do you evaluate youth development right now in comparison to when you were coming up?
Oh my gosh, these young players are amazing. Amazing. I see, 14 and under young players that are doing things that I was doing at 18 to 20. They're getting the reps, they're getting the experience, they're getting all that time, they're learning how to play in the wind so early. It's incredible. I'm so proud that the grassroots for beach volleyball has grown to what it has, because it's amazing and kids love it. I mean, parents, I hear from parents all the time, oh my gosh, I don't have to sit in a gym and hear that whistle all day. I get to be out on the beach watching my kids, outdoor environment. I mean, what better place to spend your weekend as opposed to sitting inside a gym? So yeah, it's been impressive to see the grassroots of beach volleyball grow like they have.
Take us into USA Volleyball, and what are some of the things that they do for that to actually happen? And then in the club scenario, which you are highly involved with, how are those two working together?
So when I played, just so you know, USA Volleyball was not involved. It was more the AVP, gave us the training ground, and then we went on the FIVB. Once the Olympics rolled around, USA Volleyball tried to get involved in it because they're our governing body in terms of Olympic participation. So it was very strange at the beginning. They didn't fund us, they didn't do much, but they'd show up at the Olympics. But they've worked really hard to build their grassroots on the beach and build their high performance program. Allie Wood Lamberson has done a really good job in that area. She did. I don't know if she still does it now. There's been a lot of different people in that role lately, but they worked hard to build a high performance pipeline for young players on the beach. And I think that was really good. And then you've got AAU tournaments, you've got CBVA tournaments, you've got, I think it's AVP Next. This is the junior development. I mean, there's so many different opportunities for these kids to get beach experience, but that USA pipeline, anything associated with USA, I mean, the kids will do anything to get that USA on their jersey and be able to say, hey, I trained with USA. So that's a really big deal. And it's, I would say the last maybe 6 to 8 years, it's really made a big difference in the sport.
Holly, such as to Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
You just froze. Okay.
So a country like mine in Puerto Rico, what are some of the things that we can do to grow the game that you feel that they have been done really well in the US? Like maybe expanding, maybe working better with that youth development, maybe going more often to the Olympics. Like what are some of the things that we can do?
Well, it's interesting. I have some great volleyball memories in Puerto Rico playing on that beach. And I also, in the last couple of years, there's been a very young, talented team from Puerto Rico. And I believe both of those players have committed to playing college. I think they'll be there next year. Yes. I don't remember their names, but they're very talented. And, I just think Puerto Rico needs a training ground where they get the, kids who have the most potential, spend 3 or 4 weeks training them, have a tournament, compete, and then, kind of encourage growth and give them the training and preparation they need. And then, then they have the platform to come over and compete in our big summer tournaments. July in Hermosa Beach is full of all the best players in the country. And that young Puerto Rican team who's now, going on to college, they came to all those events. They were hungry. They wanted to play the best. And I think they set a really good example and kind of maybe a path for the rest of the young players in Puerto Rico.
Are indoor clubs in the U.S. building a beach volleyball section, or a beach volleyball club and indoor not going together much right now?
It's interesting. Some are trying to go, oh, we have this beach branch. But for the most part, beach-only clubs, in my opinion, are going to give you the best direction. I mean, a lot of times an indoor coach indoor volleyball coaches I have a ton of respect for. It's not that I don't, but to go and train people in beach volleyball, if you're not super familiar with all the nuances and the wind and the technique and the key things that you need to train, it's a difficult transition. So what we recommend is if someone wants to play both, hey, stay with your indoor club, twice a week, come train with us twice a week. But what we're seeing a lot is players specialize and they go with the sport where they feel like they have the best chance to get into college, because getting into college is a big deal and it's not that easy. It's very competitive. So players are tending to choose which one might be their best vehicle.
In terms of that, so you're saying that specialization has been a big thing going on now with beach volleyball in the US, and that has resulted in positive outcomes?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, they're playing at a high level at an early age. Do I think, there's a lot of talented multi-sport athletes. Do I think they need to, and I like that. I think that's great. Even you can kind of do that through your sophomore year in high school. I played soccer and volleyball through my sophomore year in high school. And then I was tired. I didn't do studying and I was tired all the time and my back hurt and, so it was time for me to specialize and go with my best opportunity because I needed a scholarship to go to college. So that's why I focused on indoor volleyball, because beach volleyball was not an opportunity. So that's why I did that.
NCAA beach volleyball and the growth of the game in that area. How is that going, and what are some of the things that can be done better?
It's amazing. Fastest growing sport ever in the NCAA. And a lot of people haven't been there to the event. It's been in Gulf Shores the last, I don't know, maybe 5 years. It is the most amazing event. The goosebumps, the way it's run, it's a beautiful sport, and it's gotten really deep, really competitive, and the parity across the country is amazing. I'm passionate about it because when I'm there, I'm like, I can't even wait to see what's going to happen. This was going to be one of those years. I could not wait to see what was going to happen. Next year is going to be crazy with all the seniors that have stayed to get that shot at that NCAA title. It's fantastic. I think people need to know that they need to go to Gulf Shores if they can for that weekend to see the competition, because it's one of the best beach volleyball events I've ever been a part of. As a fan, a player, you name it. It's phenomenal and so exciting.
What's the championship structure? So people that maybe outside of the US can understand, like, how does it work, the NCAA beach volleyball right now?
Well, first of all, the collegiate format is my 5 best pairs against your 5 best pairs, and you have to rank them according to talent. So your top 1 has to be your top pair. You can't put your number 1 at the 5 and try and manipulate the system. It's on the honor code, but people can challenge you if they don't believe what you're doing is accurate. So whoever gets 3, first 1 to 3, wins and advances. But the particular NCAA format that we've been using in Gulf Shores the last few years is the top 8 teams in the country. And it's usually 3 from the West Coast, 3 from the East Coast, and then 2 wild cards. Those wild cards tend to come from the West Coast because the West Coast is pretty powerful. And then it's just 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7, and down. And it's a double elimination format to see who wins. And it was pretty exciting. Well, I guess it was 2 years ago now. Stetson upset the number 1 team in the country out of the gates. It's USC. So it was interesting. And like I said, the parity is so good now that anybody can beat anybody. And Gulf Shores is windy, so that adds another challenging element. UCLA practices. They have game plans because of the wind, because they know they're going to need to perform and get wins in that high wind on the beach there.
Is the men's side also going to happen at some point?
I would love to see it happen, but to be honest with you, with all the men's sports, in Title IX and having the same opportunities for women, I don't know if it will. I mean, the football alone, with all the numbers they have, I don't know. We'll see. I hope so.
How about the pandemic going on? How is that going to affect the sport per se? What are some of the things that you're gonna have to consider for your own clubs, scene, and then at the next level as well?
Well, we're trying to get back to training. We haven't been approved to play yet, which is so frustrating because everything else is allowed except for beach volleyball. So we're frustrated. And then people are allowed to play in Texas, Florida, Arizona, but here in California we can't play. You can do everything else on the beach but play beach volleyball. So it's frustrating. I think our athletes are dying to train. Obviously this is a time when everybody makes those strides in terms of getting better technically, but everyone's been inside, so people are trying to get their sand legs back. We don't know when the next tournament's going to be. All these are challenges. And then what's going to happen in the fall? You don't know. Are people going to be online? Are people going to be in person? It's just kind of up in the air. I think in terms of talent, beach volleyball is going to be heavy talent. It's going to be probably the best year yet. Well, actually, not probably, for sure the best year yet in terms of competition. But who knows when they'll be able to train again with their program.
Holly, you're ranked one of the top in the world as well in career earnings. Is this still happening? Like, are players able to get the kind of money that you got?
Not even close.
And if not, then what's next? What would be your solution if you have total control of this situation?
Well, first of all, let me just say it's heartbreaking. We made good money. And we had a great platform television-wise. And when you have a great platform, that allows you to get sponsors who pay you good money. And even if you weren't making great prize money, you'd make it in sponsor money. So it's a whole different ballgame now. I mean, if maybe four female players make enough money to, not have a side job. And then what's enough money? It depends where you live and stuff like that. But if I were in control, I would sell sponsorships. That's a very important thing. I feel like the current league has not done a very good job of that. I mean, they put on a huge event, put all this money into the production of the event, but the prize money is still small. So the players are the show and they're not getting paid. And now during this pandemic, they make nothing because I don't know of any tournaments that are on the schedule. And it's really heartbreaking. A lot of them coach on the side or tutor on the side or, bartend, wait tables, you name it. They'll do whatever it takes because they're passionate about the sport. But I'd like to see more prize money. I'd like to see a bigger TV platform that would allow these players to make money from sponsors. And, I think that's really important. And then obviously the prize money, having maybe a tour title sponsor. Again, I'm dreaming because with a bonus pool. Back in the day when I was growing up, Miller Lite, I think it was like a $5 million bonus pool. That was on top of all the prize money. So, it's mind-boggling. And, I don't even think, maybe they're at $1 million total for prize money on the AVP tour. So it's a rough go right now, which is disappointing because it was the opposite when I played. The pro level was heavy. There was no grassroots. And now the grassroots is great. And the pro level doesn't have the same types of opportunities that they once had.
Are sponsors wanting to help the sport, or you feel that the interest for it, has gone?
I feel like the interest is there, but if you don't have a platform, if you're not getting in front of enough people, then it's hard. We just read something that was said, in the past, beach volleyball has been one of the top 3 Olympic sports. This year, that it's not even listed in the top 5 for Tokyo because there's no platform in between that boosts up, where the players are, so people are familiar with the athletes and all that. And it's really sad for me because I think the sport of beach volleyball is amazing. So indoor volleyball is amazing as well. And we've got some of the best, smartest, most interesting athletes in both sports. And I feel like they need to be elevated and out there for people to know and help promote the sport. But I just feel like, we haven't been able to do that.
Will Holly McPeak ever look for a leadership role in the pro league or in beach volleyball at the USA volleyball level?
No. And I'll tell you why. Because my husband worked so hard in the sport, so hard. And I've been on so many different boards and in so many different meetings. And volleyball is this big in the scheme of things. And you wouldn't believe how many people are fighting for that piece of the pie. People are not willing to work together. Instead of saying, hey, let's all work together and build this sport. You have your event, I'll have my event. Let's make it great. Let's build the biggest platform, more opportunities for the players. It's like, oh yeah, you're gonna have that event? No, our players can't play over there. And so who loses? The players. So it's pained me. I've watched it for, now even being out of the sport 30-something years. And it's painful, and it's over and over and over again. My husband brought an event with $1 million in prize money for one event. Now they have 100, they have $1 million for the entire season. And they were acting like, oh, we're not going to let your players play in it, or they weren't grateful. And it's like, it's so strange to me because of the political struggles. I don't think the players were meant it, to be like that, but I saw the struggle. I saw the fact that, he wasn't appreciated for the great events that he brought and helped build the sport. So that part, too many things are thankless in this world. I don't want to get involved, but, I will continue to give advice and help support. But in terms of a leadership role, if everybody's not on the same page, I don't want to do it. And everybody is obviously not on the same page. And it's been too many years of the same thing over and over again.
Holly McPeak, I know that you have time constraints. I want to ask you one last thing. What do you think is the role of sports in what's going on right now with this discrimination issues, not just in the US, but around the world? What is our responsibility in this microorganism of, volleyball?
Well, it's interesting that you say that. When I was a student at Berkeley, I took a sports sociology class, and Harry Edwards was the professor, and he is very famous. And he would say sports is a microcosm of society. And so what you see in sports sometimes, is reflected in our community as well. I think we have a powerful platform to show people, that we can be better. We're all created equal. There's no one better or worse. But the nice thing is sometimes in sports, it's like, hey, you get out there, you compete, you get to prove yourself. But as athletes and with the platform that sports has, we need to educate, and we need to not put up, with things that we have in the past. It's not okay. It's not okay for anybody to be treated poorly. So I think with our platform, we can use the voice, we can educate people, and it starts at a young age. People need to know from a young age that it's not okay and how we need to treat one another. And I think that's going to help our whole culture, our whole society. And, this is an important part of our history right now happening.
This has been Holly McPeak, one of the best players to ever play the game. 3-time Olympian, Hall of Famer, so many successes along your career. Thank you so much for all that you have given to the game, and thank you for what you continue to do for it. So hopefully we continue to learn from you and about you. And I encourage everyone to continue to follow Volley Junkies. Remember that you can go to our Facebook page and our YouTube page, and please also know that Holly McPeak continues to grow the game. So anything that you can do to help beach volleyball, please do so.
Let's all work together to make our sport great. I'm one of the owners of Elite Beach Volleyball Club in Manhattan Beach, and I work with 2 other Olympians, Eric Fontana and Barbara Fontana. We want to get back to the sport. We want to help these young athletes learn how to play at at an early age, and we'll also support them and learn the mental part of the game and learn what it takes to be a champion. So we feel like we're paying it forward, but we're also getting so much out of mentoring these young athletes that I recommend, if there's former players who are passionate about the sport who might want to do the same, I highly recommend it because it's really rewarding.
Thanks so much again, Holly. And thank you everyone that is watching. I'll see you next time.